Hey everyone, we are live. My name is Andy Hall. You're going to be watching Atheists Talking About Christmas. Michael Wiseman is my guest. He does the show The Bible Says What. I can see it on his t-shirt. He was so kind to wear it so I wouldn't forget the name of his show. Smart guy. Yes, we're going to talk about Christmas, about some myths around Christmas. What does the Bible actually say about Christmas? And all that happy stuff. And of course, if you have questions for Michael, for myself, feel free to put them in the chat. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, fantastic. A little early over here, but man, I'm here. 2 cups of coffee. We're ready to go.
So for people who aren't acquainted with you and your work, give us a little flavor of it. Give us a couple of sentences, maybe a couple of paragraphs about what you do.
Do the podcast called The Bible Says What. I talk to religious leaders all over the globe, discuss what they believe, why they believe, and I use the Bible to rebut whatever they believe. Usually whatever they believe contradicts with the Bible, and I can throw things out there. My favorite one, of course, is the loving deity. He's not a loving deity. If you read the Bible, it's quite clear. So stuff like that. It's a lot of awkward silences for the guests, but it makes for entertaining radio for the most part.
I imagine it does. Now, how many episodes are you up to?
We just put out 80. Episode 80 just came out. I say we, cool. But we as awesome. In the show.
We in the royal sense of we, I understand. So I want to say hello to some people in the chat. Yo, Nate Natural Atheist is here, and Derek Cruz is here, and Kevin Lentini is here too. So hey, how's it going, everyone? If you have any questions for Michael, we're just gonna go. And Mr. Weissman, a little bit about yourself personally, about what brought you to doing the show. And you're frozen, and maybe I'm not frozen. I hope I'm not frozen. He is frozen. Am I frozen? I'm going to find out what's going on in the chat. There is definitely frozenness here. And this is just one of the miracles of a live show. So I'm going to start talking to the people in the chat. I'm going to see if I can message Michael and maybe see what's going on because, he's out. And now you're back, Michael.
Everything went away. I don't know what happened.
I don't know, man. Just text us. People said that they could. Unfortunately, this is the most horrible thing in the world. They could see and hear me, but they lost you. Which I would die out of the two of us. I would rather have it the other way, but it is what it is.
Oh man.
So, dude, what brought you to doing the show?
Why am I doing the show? Let's see. I started. I was raised in the church my whole life, struggled with the whole concept of God and hell and forgiveness and fear and all that shit. And then eventually broke free from it and read the Bible, which was a huge eye-opener for me. And then from there, I had a million questions. So who else are you going to ask but the pastors? Because the regular churchgoers are always like, well, I don't know. So you go ask the pastors, and the pastors, turns out, they have the same answer. I don't know.
Sometimes they have an answer, but there's just more. There's no soldiers involved.
It's never a really good answer. I haven't found some have given me some interesting answers, but I haven't really found a good answer to most of the questions. But so I was doing that. I was talking to pastors, just kind of, I guess it was training. Didn't even know. Right. I started talking to them, and before you know it, my wife says, somebody might want to hear that. Maybe. So here we are. 80 episodes later.
80 episodes later. So let's start talking about Christmas. I was looking, before the show, I was just doing a quick perusal of the Gospels.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty thin on Christmas, on the birth of Christ.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is. I was going to start joking around with saying that Mark is my favorite Christmas story. Of course, seeing that there's no Christmas story in Mark whatsoever.
Yeah. That's a problem. That's only in Matthew and Luke, and it's so brief, and both of them contradict each other. There's no correlation besides the whole Jesus was born part, essentially. Matthew, you've got the star and the magi. I don't understand where the three wise men come from to begin with, because it doesn't give a number of magical people. Magi are magical people. It's not wise men. They're magical people. It doesn't make any sense. Well, I guess the frankincense, and gold, myrrh, gold. That's where the idea of the three come from. But it never says they only brought one of each. And anyways, it's a whole big thing. And then Luke doesn't even match up. There's no magical people. He's born in a manger. There's no star. I don't know how familiar you are with the when Yahweh sends down an angel to announce his son's birth. This huge announcement. Oh, right. My son's about to be born. So I'm going to send down one angel to talk to a few shepherds in a field.
Right.
It's great news. Go tell somebody. You got to check this out. Why don't you tell everybody? But then he gets I don't know if he gets jealous or feels the attention's drawn away from him or something. But as soon as he sends that one to talk to those little bit of angel or a few guys, he sends a whole horde just to praise his name.
Right.
Come on, dude. Come on. Slow down, Yahweh.
Slow the roll. I was reading through, like I said, the Christmas story in Matthew, and I noted that Joseph was ready to divorce Mary. He was ready to just let it be kind of quiet, but break off the engagement.
Yeah, interesting they left that part in the story. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, right. How old was Mary anyways? They never tell you on that one. That's an interesting question.
This is true. From what I understand, a virgin / young woman.
Yeah. Mistranslation there.
Right. So talk about that a bit, because maybe some people aren't aware of the translation issues, but that turned Mary into a virgin.
Yeah, that's what I was reading about too as well. That it was a mistranslation. It was supposed to be young woman instead of virgin. And then even if it was virgin, there are so many other demigods and gods that are born with miraculous births and whatnot. So I mean, it's not special. It's not really that special. Everybody's like, oh no. I mean, look at how many other stories there are. We like stories, man. We make up stories. That's what we do. That's the reason for the season is stories, really. Axial tilting stories.
right, exactly. What and also when you read through the Christmas story in Matthew, there is this obviously intentional attempt to mirror Jesus with Moses.
Yes. Oh man, that is nuts. That whole David lineage and whatnot.
Right.
Man.
And there is a whole begatting and who is related to who in terms of the house of David, and then the flight to Egypt. So you have the three wise men coming to see Herod, and then them going to see Jesus in the house. In Matthew, there's no manger. There's no manger in Matthew.
Definitely a house.
Right.
So weird. It's so weird. And then how do they correlate the three? Or mix them all together? Because you always see the three wise men, which we don't know how many magical people there were, all at a manger. You never see them at a house. I've never seen the three wise men sitting at a house talking to Jesus, or Mary and Joseph or whatever. But
yes, there is definitely a mashing up of Matthew and Luke, the stories
in
the
weird.
Popular imagination.
It's like they throw out what they don't like. It's so weird.
I'm wondering whether or not Handel's Messiah has anything to do with this. Handel, he just kind of said, I don't know. I'm just going to throw everything together in this huge musical. People are going to love it. And they don't know their Bible anyway, probably. And so it doesn't matter. We'll just throw everything in there.
No. And even if they think they know their Bible, they'll throw out verses that don't actually work. It's like, no, that doesn't work with that. Like the whole the David lineage. It's all got to go back to David. Well, first off, the two genealogies are from Joseph. Jesus has no connection to Joseph bloodline whatsoever. Why would they put his bloodline on there to correlate or to make it go to David? And then even then, there's nowhere that says it has to be David's lineage. They can come up with ideas that his line has to reign forever and whatnot, but I mean, I can get into that. There are discrepancies in that. There's it's a contradiction. His line will reign forever no matter what they do, but then he says later on, well, they can't do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and then they won't reign forever. It's ridiculous. It's almost like the Bible is one giant contradiction. Almost.
What I really liked about the Gospel of Luke is that it seems to be some amped up fan fiction of Matthew.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Matthew has a little more thrills and escapes, from the evil king and whatnot. I do like the end of Luke where she doesn't escape anything. She's not running from anything. Mary just sits in her room and ponders the thought, what happened during the day. Just relaxing, no big deal. You got Matthew, the complete opposite. Run for your life.
Right. Well, you raised an interesting point because in Matthew, there is, of course, the death of the babies, the male babies by Herod. There is the flight to Egypt. Right, just like Moses, there's the flight to Egypt. And then when Herod supposedly dies, they can return back to Israel. So that's like an action movie, like you said. And Luke, I'm thinking about Luke as a musical, to tell you the truth, because there's songs.
It could be. It's the Disney version. I get it. Okay, so the Matthew is the what's that guy that does all the explosions? Michael Bay. It's the Michael Bay version of the story versus the Disney remake of it. I like it.
Right. One might be a little rated R because of the killing of the kids. No one wants to see that. And a Disney movie.
A little more risky.
Well, Luke is more jazz hands. The songs.
Yeah, it's so true. Because in Matthew, wasn't the one where he tells she's gonna? No, that was Luke. It was Luke. The angel explained to Mary that one day the Holy Spirit will come to her, and the power of the Most High will overshadow and impregnate her. That was Luke. That's such a weird scene. Like, how does that work? And is that even consensual at that point?
It doesn't sound like there's any kind of consent given. It's more like, hey, you're lucky. This is what's going to happen.
Does she have a choice? Right, exactly. This is going to happen. You're lucky. You've been chosen. I don't think chosen. You don't have a choice. Yeah, see? I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird. Christian mythology is weird.
It is. So there's at least like three different songs in Luke. There's like, I think it was, and then of course that's the angels. So there's two individual solos, right? There's two individual solos in Luke, and then to top it all off, somewhere in the mix there's the angels doing the big song of Emmanuel. Emmanuel.
Shepherd's doing a dance number, the whole spiel. Yeah, I see it in my head. Okay, we got to put this together.
So what don't people understand about, and even atheists who are somewhat acquainted with the text, what are the things that we don't know about the biblical story about Christmas?
What do you mean?
I have some basic ideas about what, like I said, I read through a couple of the chapters. Yeah. Is there something in there that I'm missing? Something that, like the reign of I've heard that the person supposedly in charge of Judea at the time doesn't line up with the actual historical records, like the Roman governor.
Right. Yeah, I did read that as well, that there was no actual census. There was no actual, all the babies were being killed. I think Herod wasn't even actually king at the time. There's so many little things that just don't add up. And that's where that faith comes in, Andy, and we have to just, we have to have faith.
You would think that there would be some kind of record of all those babies being killed.
You would think we would have a lot more record of such a thing. historical documents, perhaps. But I don't know. Again, Christian mythology, it's so weird. And a lot of it doesn't make sense. The whole Bible, for instance, you take that.
Have you brought up these discrepancies with people on your show? I don't know if you do like Christmas themed shows or if you bring up the Christmas story at all, but have you done that with different believers?
I vaguely here and there, but I do have an episode coming out next, number 81, with a guy named Darling. His last name is actually Darling. He was a pastor. I can't remember exactly. Oh, I have this in front of me right here. Anyways, he was something, and best-selling author, pastor, host of the Wayward podcast. Oh wow, he does a lot of things. So we discussed a little bit about Christmas and the story and how it differentiates. And what he told me is that it's just the same story. It's just and they don't clash, they all mix together. And so I went through them one by one with him. No star, a star. Shepherds, no shepherd. And each one he found his way to just whatever they do to get out of things, wiggle his way out of it. And I was like, I just can't, man. It just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't make any sense. So that's definitely gonna be a little bit of Christmas special. I actually wrote the intro for it last night.
Right.
Yeah, how to make an American Christian Christmas. It's an actual
how to make an American Christian Christmas.
Yeah. It's like a recipe. It's real short if you want me to read it real quick for you.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, everybody. Episode 81 intro before it happens. How to make an American Christian Christmas. Just so you know, I screw up my intro constantly. It takes 5 or 6 times for me to get this shit right. So here we go. Now pay attention because there will be instructions. Mix together a large amount of Roman Saturnalia traditions and Viking Yuletide traditions. Smother them in a Christian mythology. Make sure you get it completely covered. We don't want those pagan roots to show. Top it with some heavy dashes of mass consumerism and bake it for a few centuries. The result is an American Christian Christmas. The American Christian Christmas is best served with some fresh Black Friday mobs and the imagined persecution of dangerously ignorant Christian Christmas purists. You can almost smell the fascism.
Brilliant.
There it is. 81 intro for the Christmas special.
So before we get back into Christmas, the girlfriend from the chat asks, do any other pastors ever admit the Bible is just a book written by men?
Yes. Yes, they have. And that's what they use to make it, the fallible. If it's got any, problems with it, then it's definitely man. It's man's part in it. I've heard the explanation that Yahweh didn't actually have his hand on these people writing it, that they were free to make their own interpretations. So I've definitely heard that before. But that begs the question of why would Yahweh allow men to make changes that don't make sense in his perfect book or his autobiography to the world? It doesn't make sense either way.
I'm going to take a stab. And I'm going to say that the parts of the Bible that these pastors think are written by men are the parts that they don't agree with.
Yeah, it's weird how that works. And anything that doesn't match the idea of their God in their head, same thing. Oh, well, man, that's just man's idea. Men did that. It's their influence. Ridiculous. Right. How can we? I don't know.
And the parts they really love, the ones that they agree with, have to be divinely inspired or written by the hand of God himself.
Right. Even if you tell them how horrible that idea is, which is usually Jesus, no, that's disgusting and horrible. We don't need blood sacrifices for forgiveness. Come on, man. And they have nothing. They have nothing.
Right. So I got to ask you, if there's only a little bit about the birth of Christ in only 2 of the 4 Gospels, how did Christmas become such a huge holiday?
Well, like I said, you mix a little bit of Roman and Viking traditions in there and you smother it with Christianity. That's exactly how it happened through time, man. Through time. I mean, I'm not a historian or anything, but, you get certain people, commercials in general as well, commercialism.
Right. Do you have
Lots.
any? Right, because there are a lot of pagan symbols in Christmas.
I don't understand which part is the Christian part. The tree? No, that's not the gift giving. Which I love these things. I remember growing up and like, oh, the tree, it's the life of Jesus and resurrection. The gifts are from Jesus because Jesus was a gift to us. It's like, you were really stretching this. Really, it takes a lot to make this a Christian holiday because we know where these gift ideas came from. They came from the celebrations that they were having in the Yuletide and the Saturnalia and all that shit. We know where all the stuff came from. The tree and the stockings was one of my favorite. I just found out about that one. The kids would put boots out by the fire. They put hay in it or sugar, and the Odin's horse, the 8-legged horse, would come down and eat it, and Odin would refill the boots with treats or candy or presents and gifts and shit. Hey, stockings bung by the chimney, leaving stuff out for Santa. Hey, weird. It has pagan roots, kind of like everything else we do for Christmas. So,
it's interesting how this Nordic myth of, I think Odin had like a 6-legged horse or maybe an 8-legged horse, and how that has. What's that?
Yeah, you could fly across the sky too. So I mean, it was called the Great Hunt, I think it was.
The Great Hunt, and somehow that changed into Santa Claus.
Then just time, and Coca-Cola. Thanks a lot, Coca-Cola, for that Santa Claus. Lots of different things, man. Saint Nicholas, Odin, they're very similar.
Right. So Christmas. A lot of Christians still believe that if that Jesus was born on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But the biblical account does not really point to that, from what I understand.
Yeah, no, it's just stolen. There's other gods and stuff that were in the holidays, Saturnalia, were going on. So they instead to not only bash out the pagans. Again, I'm not a historian. But in order to squeeze out the pagan rituals, they shoved their shit in there and smothered it so that you wouldn't see the pagan roots. And here we are. We have fucking Easter and Christmas.
Right. So from your experience in your personal life and also growing up as a Christian, what you find to be the most comical misinterpretation of the Bible about the Christmas story that Christians have?
It would definitely have to be the three wise men at the manger. That's my favorite one. Like, that doesn't even happen in the story. Yeah, you can have the 3 wise men, you can have your manger, but you can't have them together because that didn't happen. They weren't there. That's my favorite. I laugh every time.
I was looking through both of the books that the Christmas story is in, and no little drummer boy.
Not there.
No.
No drums. No pum.
Nothing. It's as if they just kind of like added on to that.
No, they don't do that.
Never.
Gosh, how could you even imply that?
Yeah. Do you think that Christmas right now is a post-Christian holiday?
No, it's definitely again, everybody celebrates differently. Nobody does the same thing. So how can you call it your holiday? Number one, it's an individual thing. I think we all celebrate it our own way and have our own traditions and whatnot. So, and every time someone tells me it's a Christian holiday. No, do you know anything about what you're doing? Anything? There's this thing called Google, and you type things in, and you can find things out. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's almost like the facts are difficult to accept for the religious mind.
Oh, right. What I find, one of the many things I find comical is the whole the fake rage about the war on Christmas, which I have to tell you, I I'm happy that we've had so much chaos in society, to tell you the truth. That we've had so much chaos in society that the war on Christmas has just been swept underneath the rug for all intents and purposes.
Man, yeah. I think I see now I want to talk to a Christian about Christmas. Thanks. I might have an extra episode coming out. I don't know. I need to have a conversation all of a sudden.
Sure.
No, it's good though. I love asking those kinds of questions because they don't know either. And when you ask them why they believe something and they're stumped, it actually makes them think about it. Yeah, usually they'll give you a bullshit answer, but you've made them stop and think. And I think that is worth the conversation alone, just to get them to stop and think about it. Because I mean, when I was a ridiculous person, if somebody had a conversation with me the way I have conversations with pastors, I definitely would have stopped and reflected on that conversation over and over again. Why am I doing this? Why do I believe this? I mean, you would think, you would hope.
Is that the question that you found to be most useful when engaging with Christians? Is just asking them why? Why do they believe this?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you throw in a verse too. You like Hebrews 9:22. Without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness. Well, that's disgusting. Why? I mean, it's a simple why. I remember as a kid thinking, if I just keep asking why, I'll get to the bottom of this. I'll figure this out. But, it always ends with somewhere along the line, it's going to be an I don't know. And that's great. I want to get to that I don't know. When you get to that spot, that's when you're going to start thinking, okay, well, why do I believe this? What in the world am I thinking? That's my thinking.
I think the most theologically sound answer to the ultimate question of why regarding God, the Bible, is God's answer to Job in the whirlwind. It's to just sit down and shut up answer.
I made this. I can take you out of this.
Right.
Very
yeah, exactly. It's like, sure, I could explain it to you, but your head would explode, man, with all the knowledge I'm dropping in there. That's basically God's, besides the sit down and shut up, it's the impression that our little brains could not handle such basic answers of why there's a blood sacrifice.
That answer was such bullshit anyways, because he knew he fucked up. He knew it. He says, damn it, Satan enticed me against you for no reason. He says that in Job 3:4, I believe it is. Anyways, don't quote me on that. But it's like, he knew he screwed up. So he's like, shit. And then Job's like, aha. And he's like, no, how dare you question me? I am God. And it's just like, come on. It's such a terrible story to begin with. I don't understand. They always go there. They'll just think about how Job answered. Fucking Job. Oh, come on, man. That's a horrible story. Let's go to it. Let's talk about it. I love it.
Well, Job is ultimately a happy story because after God kills his kids and
servants and his sheep.
He gets a whole new batch of them later on at the end. Right,
but what about the ones that were there? They got their life smoted out because Yahweh didn't know something. Oh my God, I hate it. So disgusting. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know about you, but from my years as a believer, Christmas was a very musical time of year, right? The Christmas carols, the Christmas cantata, where they would butcher up Handel's Messiah. Do those hymns, do those songs still percolate through your brain?
I have a different view on them now. As a believer, I remember my mom asking me, we only sing the Christmas songs about Jesus or whatnot, not the ones about Santa. So we kind of left those ones out. And then I remember later on, and after I've left the religion, I know about this deity and what he really wants and what he's all about and whatnot. And these songs, they have a whole new meaning. Every time I hear it, Silent Night, Holy Night, it's like, ugh. You kind of cringe a little more now. It's like, can we just sing about something else? I don't want to sing about this fictional character that, is going to want to come back and kill me. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. They do like to brush that under the rug. That look, it's a baby that's God. That, if you thumb forward in a couple of books in the Bible, he's going to eventually come back down.
Just a few chapters, you'll see some shit.
Right. So, dude, we've been talking for about 30 minutes now, so I think I can call you dude. So, dude, how old were you when you were piecing together this Christmas story? It really didn't make sense.
I remember. Well, my family's tradition was to read the Christmas story every Christmas morning. So, which was brutal for us kids. You're just sitting there as a pile of presents, and we can't do anything until we've heard about Jesus again. And it was so frustrating. I remember I was older. I think I just left the house or whatever, and I came back for Christmas, and they were reading the Christmas story, and something didn't add up. He had to read two different versions of it. I remember like, okay, yeah, Matthew and Luke. Why is it two different versions of it? Why don't these match together? I never really thought much of it until years later, and I put it all together, and I think I was like, 16 when I really started to question the contradiction part of it. But then again, I didn't really dive into it. I didn't really think too much of it. I was more worried about silly things, but
oh, right. Of course. Your genitalia and other people's genitalia. That's what really my focus was. When I was 16. So I'm trying, you're painting an interesting picture. So it's Christmas morning. Mm. There are stockings full of presents, I imagine. There are presents underneath the tree. Mm-hmm. And you have to come down to hear the story of two stories. Two stories. Of Jesus's birth. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That sounds like torture.
Make it worse. The night before, every Christmas Eve, there is a happy birthday Jesus party.
Oh, dude. You're burying the lead on this. so.
Cake, big old happy birthday Jesus sign. The works, man. The works. Spared no expense.
Happy birthday Jesus party. Mm-hmm. So was this just to your family, or were there other people coming in?
Grandparents and siblings, and no, just my direct family, my grandparents, and then my family, my mom and dad, and siblings and whatnot.
Were there party hats?
Yes, party hats. You got the little things and cake. Like I said, there was an actual cake, a big old banner. It was a real birthday party without the guest.
The guest is always there.
He never showed up. It was the weirdest thing. They didn't even put a seat out for him, which is interesting now to think about it.
That was my next question. You were reading my mind. I was wondering if there was like a seat there, a very little seat. It'd be baby Jesus. It'd be like a little high chair. Baby Jesus.
High chair. Anointed one bib.
Anointed one bib. Right. He's going to come as like a thief in the night, but you don't know what final form. What's that?
Any minute. He'll be there any minute.
Any minute. And he could come in if he chose to as baby Jesus.
Yeah. It was nuts. But no empty chair. That would have been a little weirder.
Okay, so there'd be the cake, there'd be the horns, maybe the hat. Any other? Was there any other activity within this birthday party for Jesus?
They sang "Happy Birthday," and then we ate a cake, we had dinner, and then after that, we all got to open one gift. That was pretty much it. But I mean, it was still a thing that you had to do.
So it would be happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Jesus, happy birthday to you.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that would make that even odder would be if there was like a piñata.
Yeah. A piñata of Jesus or Santa, probably Santa Claus, because they hate Santa. Satan. Red suit.
So in your religious household, how was Santa? What was the official doctrine about Santa?
He just really wasn't talked about much. We were told he wasn't real right off the bat, which was fine with me. One less mythical creature to worry about. But no, I mean, really wasn't talked about, discussed. We knew he was just the worldly interpretation of what Christmas is, I think is what we were told, if I can recall correctly. But I mean, it wasn't really, we didn't have Santa on the tree. We always had an angel on the top of the tree. Yeah, never any Santa decorations. No.
This is fascinating. From the earliest time you remember, you knew Santa wasn't real.
Right. Yep.
How did that play out with your interactions with other children? Did you ever like drop it?
No, I was in interactions with nothing but religious children. I went to Christian schools. I was at church every time the doors were open. So my interactions, I never knew anybody that was an atheist, period. I never knew anybody that was a word. I didn't know anybody could not believe in God. It was a weird place to be, you know, and it's weird to be out, to see inside. It's like, wow, I used to be in that bubble.
You know, it's fascinating to think about a subculture where every child knows Santa isn't. I mean, you know, in terms of like, you know, our American culture here, that Santa isn't real. Like all the kids knew that Jesus was real. Santa, however, is not.
Right. Yeah, I told my kids off the bat. I said, you know, there are people that believe that this guy comes down a chimney and gives you gifts and whatnot. You know, I tried to explain it to them that that's not real.
Yeah.
My 7-year-old still thinks Santa's real. I'm like,
well,
he's
you know,
not. We're going to talk about this again. It doesn't make sense because listen, la, 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 la. Yeah, I think he's real. Okay.
You know,
well, I don't know.
What I've seen with both of my children, they're one's 18, one's 15. So years ago, when they still believed in Santa, there was this period of time that they were afraid to say out loud that there was no Santa because they were afraid that the supply of stocking related gifts would end.
But it doesn't make. Do you put Santa from Santa on the gifts? Or did you put from Santa on the gifts?
Well, you know, I could. There are a couple of things that I could do when I was married with my ex-wife's family. I could say that I'm an atheist, that I don't believe. But the idea of taking Santa away from my kids I would have been hung from the highest tree. I'm not going to lie to you. It's like, it's okay that, you know, your kids never got baptized, Andy. It's okay that you're not church people. You're okay. It's okay that, you know, you're an atheist, but don't touch Santa.
Leave that one alone. It never made sense to me though. Christmas presents say from mom and dad, and like I know my parents went out and bought things for me for Christmas because I gave them a list, and right. My kids, same thing. Like you were there for part of these gifts. I threw a jacket over it so you couldn't see it was in the cart, but you were there. I purchased these things. Why are you thanking Santa? Right. I did it.
You know, my ex-wife's parents and relatives did write down for some gifts from Santa. So they were actively part of the Santa industrial complex. And like I said, they didn't give me any crap whatsoever about atheism and godlessness. So what was funny, and I've told this story before, and people who have heard me say it, I'm sorry, I'm going to tell it again, about how my kid came home from one day from school, from elementary school. And I, you know, the way how I approached personally Santa, I was always a Santa agnostic. I wouldn't tell him Santa was real. I wouldn't tell him Santa is real. I would just reply with questions. I
explained the realness of it, and we went through it. Could this happen? No, but we're still believing. We just explained this. Yeah, go ahead.
So sometimes I was passively aggressive agnostic, and I'll tell you what that means. So I always told my kids magic wasn't real. Magic does not exist. You know, my kids have vivid imaginations. That did not hamper their development whatsoever, them knowing that magic was not real. So, you know, they get older, you know, around 6, 7, 5, around there, 6, 7, 8, and they're asking questions about Santa, and I'm like, I don't know, it must be magic. But the oldest one would be like, well, you say magic isn't real, and I replied, you're right, I do say that. So one day, my youngest, who's blonde, curly haired, she comes home and she has a little song for me. She goes, and she does a little dance, and she goes, magic isn't real. Santa is magic. Santa isn't real. And then she continues and she goes, magic isn't real. Jesus is magic. Jesus isn't real.
Oh, wow. Yeah, keep going. I love it. Great song.
It's just a perfect little syllogism.
That's so funny. That's awesome.
Yeah. So you have kids. So what do you guys do for Christmas now? What's your atheist Christmas look like?
Yeah, I don't have a star or an angel at the top of my tree. I've got the flying spaghetti monster.
Dude, that's great.
My wife made with like things and painted it, and it's got little eyeballs. It's awesome. One day I'll take a picture of it and post it on the Facebook feed or something. But yeah, we do gifts, stockings. We're trying to find our own traditions here and there. You know, every year it's a little bit different. This year we decided to get the giant stockings for the kids.
Oh
yeah, don't do that. You gotta fill it. It's like, what do I fill this with? How much more stuff can I put in there? I don't know. Don't do it. I don't recommend it. Smaller stockings next year. We're gonna go shrink them down. But nothing real traditionally.
Right.
Yeah.
So I imagine your family at large, they're still believers and still do the whole Christmas stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
Very good Christmas.
Typically, we do about 3 Christmas. We'll do my family, her family, and then our family. But since everybody lives in California and we're in a pandemic, we're not going anywhere this year. Last year was a hell of a thing, though. We went out and it started snowing. We were going up the mountain and they shut the road behind us. So I was driving through the snow. It was crazy. Finally got there. It was nuts. And then on the way back from California, they closed the road right in front of us because of snow. So we had to go this back way. I'm going through dirt roads. I'm following people. I don't even know where I'm going. Almost ran out of gas, stuck in this. It was nuts. It was insane. So I'm very happy we're not going this year.
No, dude, well, congratulations on that. It's a Christmas miracle. That's what that is.
That's exactly it. That's how I describe half the things that happen. It's a goddamn Christmas miracle.
It's. I have to ask you. So you're driving, and then you find out that they closed the road behind you.
Yeah, no. All of a sudden, there's nobody behind us. I'm like, what's going on? And we're listening to the radio thing and updates, and like, oh, we just closed the pass and blah 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 blah. I'm like, oh, that's what I'm on right now. That's me. Oh, it was nuts. It was nuts. Like I was skidding all over the place, man. That was scary.
That's like the first scene from a horror movie. You're like driving in the blizzard and you hear, wait a minute, just before it shuts out, before the whole thing cuts out, before the radio, you lose your cell signal, just before it cuts out.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, it's shut down?
Yeah. Well, now I know how far I can go on E. So that's good. At least I learned something.
Sweet. We'll gets to some comments here in the chat. Levin Lentini says, my friends used to do a birthday party for Jesus, but it usually involved a bottle of Southern Comfort and large Christian rock. I hear maybe some Leonard Skinner in there somewhere. I mean, well, not Christian, but I could definitely see Southern Comfort with some Leonard Skinner there on Christmas Eve.
That sounds a lot better than my birthday Jesus parties that I had to go to.
But you have the memories that will last a lifetime.
Something I can pass on to my kids. One time, I used to have to.
Right. Digital Bookworm says, I grew up with 6 older siblings. They made sure I knew there was no Santa when I was very young.
Siblings, yeah, they'll let you know.
They'll let you know a lot of stuff. Some of it's true, some of it's not.
Being the oldest, I vouch for this.
No, really. And Digital Bookworm again says, "Lucky Andy, I had to let my daughter go to church and let her figure it out, but it worked." Oh, that's good. Most of the time, smart kids, or kids in general, as long as they, they'll figure stuff out.
Yeah, I think you give them the tools of skepticism, to be skeptical, whatever that word is, and think for themselves, question things, and I think once you give them those tools and you establish that in them, then let them in, into the world and be able to figure things out their own, hopefully at that point.
Right. Digital Bookworm mentions again, seriously, who can afford Christmas this year? Well said, my friend. Well said.
Yeah.
It is a heavy load for many parents this year. I've been out of work for months, to tell you the truth. And if I wasn't lucky enough to have sold my condo literally just when the pandemic was hitting, I would have to be at work and putting myself in physical danger every single day. And I'm not young. I'm like one of those people that you hear who die from COVID-19. I'm 52. And people would say, like, yeah, that sounds about right. That would sound, it's unfortunate. But 52 years old with a little bit of high blood pressure, maybe. Oh, yeah. That me going, yeah. So I'm just lucky that I've been able to sit out the last 3 months. But for many people, man, they just have it tough this time of year.
Yeah, 2020 sucks. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't know if 2021 is going to be any better, though. I don't know. We got a vaccine, but how much better is it? How long is that going to take for everybody to get it? And then we still got to clean up the mess from 2020.
Are you one of those people that may get the vaccine early, or are you one of those irritatingly healthy people that they'll give it to you whenever they get to you?
They'll probably just give it to me later. I mean, my age group and whatnot, I'm not really, yeah, I'll be fine. I had it. I had not yet. I was pretty sick in the beginning of the year. And so I had some chest issues and shit. So I was like, I don't really want to get this right now. I think I'll pass and hold off. So yeah, it scares me, but I think precautions and whatnot I'm taking, I'll be fine. So I can wait.
That's good. I'm curious. How old are you kids?
I'll be 40 in a few months.
Oh, wow. 40. Well, you look like a very spry 40, my friend.
Thanks.
Yeah. How old are your children?
7 and 5, about to be 6, because we share a birthday. So.
Oh, cool. Is your 7-year-old going to school?
No, both of them are at home doing their computer stuff, which is probably why the internet is not very good right now.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, whenever I start streaming, I always tell my daughter when she's here, you can't do online gaming because that just ruins everything.
It's like when you used to have somebody on the phone. You can't have somebody on the phone and do the internet at the same time. We're just going to go to that rule. You can't be on your phone while I'm gaming.
That's a very good point. So do your kids? So do your kids know about all these wacky stories about Jesus's birthday parties, and have you regaled them with these tales?
No, not really. 7-year-old's curious though. He's starting to ask a lot more questions. So I can't just give him the short answers anymore because there's a lot of why, and I know he can understand the certain things. So I'm like, all right, so let me explain this to you. So when it came to the Bible, which I talk about constantly, it's kind of my thing in religion.
Right.
At one point, he asked, what is the Bible? And I was like, here it is. What do I do? I wasn't ready. I'm not ready for this. Shit. And so, kind of give him a rough estimate. This is a book of stories that are collected and blah, 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 blah. And then I did warn him. I said it can be taken out of context. Some people can take it the wrong way, and it makes it dangerous. So my kids know not to talk about any of that shit outside the house. That's rule number one. Let me do it. I will handle it. You don't say nothing, especially when it comes to around the family.
Yeah. I always had this prime directive with my kids when they were much younger. I always told them there wasn't a God. I let the Santa thing, like I said before, be a little agnostic on. But I always told them that God was an imaginary friend. A lot of people have, but they don't know he's imaginary. And you can't tell other people that, they will just get upset as soon as you tell an adult or your friends or a kid on the playground that God's an imaginary friend. That's not going to go well. And my kids were pretty much able to handle that. And when they asked me stuff about the Bible, it was just kind of like branching off that directly. Well, that imaginary friend called God. Well, he has a book out, and that's his book.
Nice. Yeah, I did the correlation between Zeus, Thor, and then Yahweh and all that. These are just different invisible people that some people believe are out there. There's this guy. I love just introducing different deities and different magical creatures that are fun. My kids got quite the imagination as is. So any kind of new person or idea you put in their head, they're going to play it for like days. Like I let my kid watch Tremors. I think it's a great film.
Tremors is fantastic. It is a fantastic cult movie.
Great movie. So I let them watch it. For days, they went outside and they played Tremors. They loved it. They had a blast. So I'm okay with, introducing all these things as long as they know they're not real and they can take it with their imagination. They just go wild with it. I mean, he was attaching things to his car so he could jump over. It was nuts.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Well, wait till they see Dune. That'll completely blow their minds.
Dune? Yeah, it's on the list of things. I'm thinking about Die Hard right now. They really want to watch it. I'm like, I don't know, but it is a Christmas movie, so we'll see. It
is a classic Christmas movie too. So, dude, we're heading down towards the end of our hour. Was there something you wanted me to ask you but I didn't get to? Was there a topic that you wanted to address but we just didn't get to it? And we're not talking about plugs or where people can find you online, but something substantive, something, a topic, a subject.
No, but I mean, we can talk about the Old Testament. No, that doesn't work either. Well, I guess the Old Testament prophecies.
Let's talk about that.
About Jesus's birth. My favorite thing to go about that is these people who were writing the birth of Jesus and whatever the shit, connecting the dots. They already had the dots to connect it with. So it was I'm just going to make this story fit with this story. Let's just put it together. I mean, the Christians, I think their favorite game is connect the dots and they make the rules. That's what this means. See this dot over here? I drew it in. It works. But yeah, no, I mean, other than that, I guess the main thing of the old traditions with Yuletide and all that shenanigans, it's life, death, rebirth. It's all celebration of the seasons and feasts and it's not much different than what we do now. And to slap a Christian label on it is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous and ignorant. You come on, you can't be willfully ignorant anymore. We have Google. Books.
Well, if willfully ignorant was an Olympic event, I would imagine America would dominate that every single couple of years.
I mean, we got this amazing technology when nobody uses it. It's
or
baffling.
That they use it poorly. That's what happens, right? I mean, they use it, but they use it to spread conspiracy theories, alternative facts, fake facts.
Scary stuff, man. People believe crazy shit, so
they do.
We really haven't gotten much better with all of our stuff.
No. Well, hopefully in a generation or so, people will be able to use the internet responsibly, or at least better.
Hopefully, I feel we're going to digress or go backwards, and I don't know, man. I recently watched I'm back to shows and whatnot. There's an Apple TV show called C with Jason whatever his name is. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of blind people, and this is the future of the world. We've all digressed into these blind people that think the sun is a god, that it's the ball of fire in the sky, and everything happens. And then these people are born that can see, and these people are witches now. They're automatically labeled witches and they must burn. I'm like, man, that's so true. We probably would do something stupid like that.
I think shows like that are popular because it takes our mind off of the dystopian present and puts it on the dystopian future.
Something to look forward to, right?
Something to look forward to. Yo Natural Atheist says in the chat he loves Tremors. Yeah, who doesn't love Tremors?
All right, the first one was great. I don't know about the others, but the first one was pretty good.
I didn't see any of the other ones. I read the first Dune book. I didn't read any of the others because I love that book so much. So yeah, I intentionally shut myself off of a few of sequels that, and even Die Hard. I will watch Die Hard religiously. And but I have never seen really any of the other Die Hard movies because the first one was so beautiful. And yes, I said Die Hard is a beautiful movie, and it is.
Well, number 2 was pretty good. 3 was interesting. Samuel L. Jackson was in that one, so I think that makes it worth a watch at least.
Okay, so you might have sold me on 3 just because Samuel was in that.
Yeah, and he plays an interesting character. They're running around New York trying to shut off bombs, and I'm not going to say too much about it because there's a lot more to it than that.
Okay,
but it was interesting. It was an interesting movie.
Cool.
Number 1's the best though. You can't beat it.
Oh, number 1, man.
What was it? Oh, who was who's going to be in it? Who's Blue Eyes? Sinatra. Sinatra was actually going to play the original McClane. Because I guess there's a prequel to Die Hard he was in. I can't remember the name of the damn movie, but he was originally scripted to be it, but he said, no, I'm too old. And then Bruce Willis went in there.
Right. He was right. He would have been a pretty old dude to be in Die Hard. But I have to tell you, man, I think the cinematographer was just in love with Alan Rickman. The way they shot Rickman, it was always in these heroic poses. Beautiful, and in a lot of ways, I don't want to get too much into geek film stuff, but it's in a lot of shots, it looks like a film noir movie from like the 40s, maybe. There's a lot of shadows, there's a lot of harsh light, just a beautifully filmed movie. David Paul in the chat says we used to watch Lord of the Rings for Christmas tradition. After about 8 times, we burned out. I could see that.
That's a long one to watch for Christmas. Like the whole series, or just the first one?
True. Dude. That's like I don't think I could handle binging that much. I could do like one Die Hard movie, I think, on Christmas Day, and then fall into some kind of alcohol-induced stupor after that.
Sorry, you cut out the end there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I could watch one Die Hard movie on Christmas Day, and that's about it. I couldn't watch a whole trilogy of movies without falling asleep. All of them extended. Paul says that's a lot of Lord of the Rings on Christmas. That's what that is.
Yeah. And one more thing about Die Hard though. The cop, the Family Matters guy. I can't remember. Carl Winslow. Is that what his name is? Carl Winslow. Yeah. So I got a question. I read this somewhere. I can't remember where I read it. It might have been on your thing. But is Die Hard an action film about the towers, or is it a really long Family Matters episode?
It's funny how it. And it's funny how fan fiction works, right? It's funny. I'm sure that there's been many, maybe even a few scholarly papers written on this particular topic.
Yeah.
If it was going to become holy, if it was like, if this story was around like thousands of years ago, then there would be different religious tribes fighting over the correct interpretation.
Oh yeah, we'd be worshiping John McClane right now.
Maybe a better hero than Jesus.
I guarantee you, he doesn't want anybody to die for forgiveness, so he's automatically better in my book.
It's in the name of the book. It's the name of the Die Hard, not go up on the cross and get crucified. It's
right. Die Hard. I love it. I think it's a great idea. I'm going to start worshiping John McClane. You know what? He's going on the top of my tree. That's a great idea.
as soon as I get off, as soon as we stop, I'm gonna go on Amazon and look. And I hadn't even thought of this before now. Is looking for a John McClane Christmas ornament.
Yes.
Truth be told, we got a Halloween tree this year. So
nice.
we got it's not that tall. It's maybe about 3 foot tall. It's all black, and we put down baby heads, like little plastic baby heads, and they lit up. And they lit up. And so we kept the tree up after Halloween, and for Christmas we just put little hats on them, little Santa hats.
There you go. That's genius. I love it. Baby headlights. Oh, that's a good idea.
Baby headlights. So what would be awesome is a Die Hard ornament at the very top. I think
that's a great idea. But which pose? Which one? Like crawling through the thing, or he's got the gun out and he's yippee-ki-yay motherfucker somewhere in there. I don't know. There's all kinds of spots.
Something dramatic. That's
maybe under the table, when he's under the table shooting up. That's a good scene too.
Michael Wiseman, where can people find you online, sir?
Search The Bible Says What. I've actually got theBibleSaysWhat.com is available right now. We open that up and it's ever evolving. There's all kinds of stuff on there. We sell shirts. A little firebrand design is a thing we started, me and the wife, and we make all that shit here too. Podbean is where my podcast is. Apple, iTunes, all that shit. Wherever you find podcasts, that's where I'm at. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. Facebook, find me there. Twitter, YouTube. Anywhere, just search The Bible Says What or Michael Wiseman. You'll find me.
well, thanks again, dude, for coming on. It's always fun talking to you. I learned some stuff. And who would have guessed we would have been talking about Die Hard at the end of the conversation?
Of course, man.
The biblical Christmas story. So this is great. Thanks everyone in the chat. Tune in tomorrow, 11 a.m. I'm talking with Dale McGowan. We're going to be talking about holiday music. Dale's been on, Dale has written Atheist for Dummies. He's done a million other things. He's brilliant. And we're going to be talking music. Thanks again. Take care, everyone. And